Welcome to 5 Minute Monster, where I help you find the perfect enemies to put in your campaign all in 5 minutes or less. I'll give you a brief overview of that creature, some tips for running in combat, and adventure hooks to help you find a place for it in your own games. Today, I'm covering one of the weirdest and deadliest monsters in all of D&D, Ropers. Without further ado, let's get started. At CR5, Ropers may not look like much. Well, they look like rocks, actually. That's kind of their whole shtick. They disguise themselves as stalagmites or stalactites, able to blend in with caves and caverns to ambush unsuspecting prey, like a party of fresh adventurers. Their stone-like skin gives them high AC, and even though they're incredibly slow-moving, these rocky predators have a host of abilities that will make them more than a match for your players. What makes Ropers an excellent challenge isn't just their high AC, but their range. Ropers can sprout 6 tendrils, each with a reach of 50 feet. You heard that right, 50. On every turn, it gets 4 attacks with those tentacles, and when hit, the target is grappled and restrained. Then the Roper can take its real action, pulling each creature it's holding up to 25 feet toward its mouth before attempting to bite one of them. Because of this reach, and the Roper's ability to cling to walls, placing them up on the ceiling well above the party can make this fight really scary. Imagine a Roper grabbing one player, pulling them way up over a chasm, and beginning to feast. Your players will have very little options for getting their friend back. So keep in mind the placement of your monsters on this one. A Roper on the ground won't be nearly as challenging as one on the ceiling or a ledge. Your players do have options for getting out when snagged. They can use an action to try and break free, but being held by a tendril gives them disadvantage on the strength check that they'll need to make. Their allies can also target the tendrils with attacks to try and break them, though the tentacles share the Roper's 20 armor class, and breaking one doesn't actually deal the creature any damage. They might not even realize they can attack the individual tentacles at all. So if they seem like they're really grasping for options, letting them know that this is possible isn't a bad idea. While you want them to feel the pressure of freeing their ally, you don't want the battle to become frustrating. As a last note, running away from Ropers is very difficult. For parties that lack good ranged options or teleportation, most players aren't going to be able to outrun the Roper's 50 feet of reach, especially if there are multiple that are spaced out really well. Before you throw a bunch of these at your players, even if they're a higher level, be sure they have options for getting out of there if needed. A fun fight against Ropers can very quickly become deadly if your players aren't prepared. The most obvious use of Ropers in the campaign is as an underground encounter, when your players are traveling through deep caverns like in the Underdark. As ambush predators, you can pretty much place them in any tunnel or passageway, and because they can seamlessly blend in with other stalactites, they'll often get the drop on your players. With an intelligence score of only 7, they're not exactly the smartest of enemies, but instinct alone makes them an excellent ambusher for your party. Because of their ability to grab and ensnare victims, they can also be a great addition as a sort of pseudo-trap for underground layers. A deep dragon or a beholder might keep Ropers in their lair to grab anyone who comes in to steal their treasure, with the monsters keeping them held and weakening them until their master arrives. Or maybe the Ropers just know this is a good place to get an easy meal. Your party probably aren't the first adventurers to wander into the Drow's secret fortress after all. If you want to build an entire quest around Ropers, a good hook would be people mysteriously disappearing without any trace at all. Maybe a Roper is set up along a mountain road and is eating any solo riders on horseback that pass by. Or it's hiding out in the sewers underneath a massive city, feeding on the poor workers who have to go down there and inspect and maintain the waterways. They're not the most mobile creatures, so having them set up in a location where multiple people would be passing by for them to snack on could be a great setup for an adventure. However you use them in your game, Ropers can be both fun and challenging for your players. That's it for this 5 Minute Monster, all about Ropers. Thank you so much for watching, and if you add a Roper or 2 to your game, let me know how it goes in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave a like and consider subscribing to the Bard's College. I make videos about D&D and DMing, so if you enjoyed this one, stick around for more. But for now, good luck, and remember, crit your players.